Here in this picture, it's at Stanford University. It is game day, some special sporting event, and the brother here is conspicuous. His name is Andrew Luck, and he seemed to be the athlete at large, perhaps meaning that he is a top pick and so forth. And Stanford seemed to have a sporting tradition, as well as it's one of the schools in the central North California there that is prestigious and it's tough to get in and so on. But I just don't understand. Even Harvard and Yale have sporting teams, and I lived in a college town with a team. I attended the college. I got first class honors. And these guys be working hard. They start out about 8 in the morning, they finish about 11, 12. They start again after lunch, and then they finish about 5. Supper. I mean, where's the time for the school and so on? I'm sure they have special, you have them catch up and give them the overview and all that stuff. They have maybe an abbreviated degree. And they don't expect to work in any profession, I suspect, because if they're in the sports, they're going to be able to earn big money up front and so on and invest it and have a great life after. But it's unfortunate that many of them end up broke at the end of life because they don't seem to have studied business or economics, or even if some of them have business education, it's like, oh, you just have a business degree, no education. And people come to them with some quick talk and some fast con games, and they get tired of them, and the end of the life they're broke. Now the others who aren't the athletes, they seem to be majoring in some level of other things than school, and that's what they're there for: partying, sex, drugs, all that stuff. And you wonder, you see people out there talking crazy, and you wonder, like, haven't you read something, bro? Why are you talking that, like, so on, they even rise up to be presidents and stuff like that, and it's a problem, because if a guy really hasn't studied nothing, he doesn't have no education, but he just have a high floating or some prestigious degree, and he gets into the presidency, he will put his country at risk, because people come and tell him anything, and he say, oh, that sounds good, it's logical, let's go for it, and then the next thing you know, the country bankrupt, the army get stymied in some sand and got ground up and so on. I recall at this college, this football college I attended, I would call up some of my friends on Christmas Day. I said, I'm working on this idea. What do you think about it? So, no, it's holidays, it's Christmas. Go away, please. Or no, call me next year. The next time I call him on Sunday morning, he said, I ain't even get up yet. Oh man, I go to church there. Where I'm at, and so on. But I got first class honors and so on, and I mean, I'm 24/7 thinking about stuff, I guess. Even when I was at my college, many of the guys had a shortcut. They know what we're going to come in the test, and so they only study for that. I hear the guy talking, I hear him emphasizing stuff, but I'm concerned about the future. I want to have an all-round, thorough, and profound intellectual life, and I'm making sure that I read the whole chapter and read everything, try to memorize everything, and if I happen to, recall for the test and I got it in here, great. But with my work schedule and all that stuff, I couldn't get no A. I would get a C plus and so on, and them guys with A's, and then they say, yeah, I'm dull, I'm dumb, and they're smart. I remember one of the guys, we were doing psychology and sociology together, and he got A's, I think, in those courses. And I was struggling, not necessarily from an intellectual handicap or incompetence or faulty thinking or whatever, but I had a lot of problems. I was married at one time. I was trying to get money. I worked in the gas station. I'd be robbed at gunpoint after the class. The next day, I was robbed 5 times at gunpoint. Cops robbed me. They were to shoot me and all this stuff. So I come to that trauma, and I go to class, and I got all these problems. I mean, my teacher said, look, when you're in high school, we know that you were good. Why are you taking all these? Why don't do a smaller load? I'm done the full course, 16 hours. That's a full semester course. I ain't got time to waste. I want to get out here real quick. But this guy I was telling you that he's from Suriname, and I don't know where he's at now, because once he passed about a year or two after graduating, and he made it clear that he's having so many problems, and he was a minister in church, he don't get along with people and so forth, and that is the domain of psychology and sociology. I mean, he just studied and got an A, but he never really tried to be proficient in this psychology and sociology. So when he went to work with people, which is individually psychology and group sociology, he had some serious problems, and I think he had to drop out from the ministry because he wasn't being able to get along with them. And then he didn't even do other courses like motivation and things that you could understand youth, maybe a course in youth development and so development and learning and so on. He just tried to get a shortcut to get his degree to go to work, but he can't function out there. So I think that although I came to America and I did get honors first class, and of course my circumstances were different. I had no financial kind of big sweat. I was working, and everything is good and so forth, and I really did beyond what was required in the class. I recall I went for a test once, and I started to write down my points. And this brother said, as soon as I see you start to write down like that, I know you got an A, because I read like 4 or 5 pages answering the question. I'm dealing with the various issues involved and so forth. I memorized that and so forth. So, this Stanford place with these young boys, and then Harvard and Yale with all these sporting traditions. We got to watch it now, because if we produce a whole bunch of people who are going to get into important positions and they don't have an education, they don't know what they're doing, that's a sure way of losing a superpowership. So I hope that somebody is listening and will endeavor to get these students to focus on what is important, get that information together, and go out and serve and do a good job.